These are my favorite 5 rotational core exercises for strikers and grapplers. Now, before I dive into these are core exercises done without medicine balls. I know a lot of you don't have access to medicine balls at home, or if you're training at home or at the gym, and often there's nowhere to really throw them, especially if you're at a commercial gym. So these are alternatives you can use for those. If you have medicine balls, those would easily take up most of this top 5 list. But I'm going to take you through my favorite 5 and why I like them, and so you can use them in your training program after watching this. Also, if you like these videos, comment below. Are there any core exercises that I missed that you like? Let me know in the comments so I can cover them in later videos. So these exercises are presented in no particular order, but I'm going to run down each one and why I like it. So the first one I have here is the landmine rotation. For me, this is a staple rotational exercise for strikers, grapplers, MMA. The beauty of the exercise is you actually get to incorporate your hips. A lot of rotational or core exercises in general only focus on isolating the trunk and the upper body. Obviously, when we're grappling, throwing strikes, the hips are heavily involved, and the landmine rotation gets you to do that. As you lower the bar towards your hips, I like to turn my outside hip in and then use the other leg to drive the barbell back to the top. I like to do one side at a time, controlled down, and then explosive up, versus going side to side rapidly. Obviously, there's a time and place to go side to side rapidly, but I really like for developing the strength and the power with the hips, with the trunk, and getting those hips to help with the rotation, to do it slowly down and blast it up on each side. Typically, I'm looking at doing 5 to 6 reps on each side, so it's relatively heavy, and doing around 2 to 4 sets. You can do this actually at the beginning of your session as well as a main exercise, especially if you complex it, if you have medicine balls with throws. One of the examples or complexes I have within the mats, dominate the cage, and dominate the ring strength and conditioning programs and the Sweet Science of Fighting Underground is pairing the landmine rotation with medicine ball throws. So that is a complex that you can use also within your training. Sticking with the landmine rotation, we now have a half kneeling variation. The half kneeling variation starts to isolate the trunk if you're looking to isolate the rotational aspect of the trunk. So by sitting in a half kneeling position, your hips are fixed, so they cannot rotate side to side like we did in the standing version, placing more stress on the trunk and the upper body. You also have a little bit of a balance component in that to maintain position in the half kneeling position. This one I typically like going side to side just because you're going to swap legs anyway. You can do around 10 total reps. You can swap legs within the set, or you can do one set with your right leg up and then the next set with your left leg up, etc. The third one we have here is another one to isolate the trunk by keeping the hips still, and that is a seated barbell Russian twist. So this is one you may not have seen before. You're probably familiar with a typical Russian twist, which is having a plate or a medicine ball going side to side. Those aren't very heavy, you're doing those for higher reps. With the barbell, you're increasing the difficulty tenfold. And that's because not just the barbell is heavier, but the barbell is longer, meaning there's more rotational inertia to stop it. In other words, having a higher inertia, it is harder to stop. As you rotate, you really have to have strength at longer end ranges within your trunk. Obviously, when you're rotating a lot within grappling and striking, that's an important aspect to your core strength. Then exercises 4 and 5 involve either a cable or a band. And the first one is a simple explosive band or cable rotation. Again, just like the landmine rotation, the very first exercise, we can use the hips to power the rotation. If you want, you can keep your hips still and just have the upper body rotate, but the beauty of it is being able to use that back leg to drive and turn the hip in while creating that rotation. Typically, I'm looking to do anywhere from 5 to 10 reps again, 2 to 4 sets works. You can do that on each side. And then finally, we have a reactive version. And this is one you can't do with too many exercises, which is why the band variation is so good for this. And that is being able to improve the ability to produce force quickly from your trunk muscles. So you're gonna hold the band in the middle, you're gonna create tension, you're gonna let it go by relaxing a little bit, and then you're gonna catch it by stiffening really quickly. And obviously, we know that with concepts like effective mass when punching, we need to be able to stiffen at impact, and this is one way you can develop that ability. Similar to collision training, where you're catching things that are dropping, etc. If you go listen to Dan Fichter on the Sweet Science of Fighting podcast, he dives into a little bit of that. But the reactive aspect is being able to produce force quickly at longer muscle lengths. So if you like this video, please make sure to give it a like, give it some engagement, and I'm gonna give you more exercise videos coming soon.